Catching up in double time. James analyzing every line. Paul's out of sync, but they don't care. Three minds tangled, but they're always there.
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'm Colin from Seismic Cinema. I've usually not seen it. Paul, our editor, has usually watched it in the wrong order.
And I'm James, and I have probably written an essay on it.
And I think for this one, you probably have.
I haven't, actually, but I could quite easily write one on it, and I'll explain why later.
Well, I look forward to hearing about it. Okay, so just a couple of things before we get started. So you can follow Seismic Cinema on X, Instagram, Thread, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. We have both a Facebook page and also a community group, which I promise one day we will get going for real. You can also watch us on YouTube and Spotify, and you can listen to us on a range of different platforms, including our host platform, Spotify for Creators, and Apple Podcasts. We're also part of the Podpack Collective, featuring some of our best podcasting buddies, so make sure you check them out, give them a follow, a sub, and share their stuff. Okay, recent episodes, just as a reminder, most recent one was Black Mirror. We reviewed the episode Common People, and we're looking forward to doing the second episode of season 7. We also did Reservoir Dogs, and we were really sad to hear about the death of one of the cast this week. So rest in peace to Mr. Blonde. And we also reviewed The Accountant recently as well. So before we get into discussing today's film, which, in case you didn't realise from the intro, is The Truman Show, James, I'm just wondering what you've been watching this week, now that you're on holiday.
I am on holiday. I've been off for a week now, so there's no been any excuses. So a couple of things, mate. I've watched on something on Amazon. I just kind of went on a search, and I've got a Bigfoot program that I've not came across before. So it's called the Bigfoot Files on Amazon. So I've watched episode 1 of that. Was that a wee snigger that I heard there? No, okay. That'll set me up good and proper for the new series of Expedition Bigfoot coming up in September-ish. I watched something called The Poop Cruise on Netflix. Do you see that?
I saw it on, I saw it listed on Netflix when I was watching something else.
Yeah, you can skip through these things and the trailer comes on. I don't like the new Netflix, by the way, as well. It's kind of changed its kind of formatting, the way it's displayed and stuff like that on the interface. Don't like it much, but I seen that advertised. I want to give that a watch. It's actually quite interesting and disgusting at the same time. So give it a watch.
I put on that other one. It was about the Shark Whisperer.
I'm just going to talk about that there as well, mate.
I wasn't really. I might watch it properly. I just kind of had it on in the background when I was doing other things.
Well, I might save you a trip to that, mate, because I turned on and heard about it and that, and I just kind of turned it on, mate, and then wasn't really paying attention to it, and was kind of dozing after it and stuff. So I don't think I'm going to go back to that. It's just kind of the things where it's like Dave Attenborough just kind of puts you to sleep type thing. Do you know what I mean? Like
controversial.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way. Do you know what I mean? Like he's obviously, very professional what he does and all that, and it's good shows and whatever. But maybe just age arm that it's like I think he should be doing like Sleepcast or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be
anything could send me to sleep, even my favorite movie or show.
No, that's true. I started watching. Well, I watched Black Mirror episode 2, Bête Noire, the other day as well, in the lead up to the review happening next week. No spoilers here. I'll wait till then for that. I'm currently watching the London bombings on Netflix. So I'm on episode 2 of that. I'm into my documentaries at the moment, kind of thing.
So am I actually.
Aye. And of course, the Truman Show, which I watched twice as well. Just I'll explain later why that is. But
Shows were definitely on holiday.
well, because before that, I'd be watching maybe one or two things at a push. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
aye,
No, you definitely make up for it when you're off anyway. So,
indeed.
I've been on a bit of a Titanic obsession, if I'm completely honest. I watched the Titan documentary finally on Netflix, and I actually watched one on BBC iPlayer as well. And in between doing them, I actually bought this book in the local bookshop. So I've been reading up on like the history, but also it then goes on to talk about the investigations and the discovery of the wreckage as well. So
You're quite far into it. You're about halfway through. I've seen your wee
yeah,
bookmark.
bought it last weekend. I'm halfway through.
Aye.
Yeah, I actually watched a third Titanic documentary today. It was about 14 people from Ireland who all went together, and like only like 2 of them came back. So again, that was quite interesting. I'm just on a bit of a Titanic obsession at the moment. I also watched the Osama bin Laden, the Hunt for bin Laden documentary
Mhm.
on Netflix as well. And also, I've been listening to, as I've mentioned in one of the shorts, I've been getting back into supporting our fellow podcasters more. So I listened to What's the Script's American Psycho review, casting views. I listened to their 200th episode. And I also listened to Casting Views review of Common People, the Black Mirror episode as well, which was quite interesting as well. And Howdy Beans podcast, I listened to their Charlie and the Chocolate Factory review. So that was just a few of the fellow podcasters.
Before I go into the podcasters, I meant to ask you there: are you getting a cut or something like that, or is the person giving the book for the Titanic book?
No, I just wanted to show it.
Are you plug here then? All right, okay.
I could tweet them and see.
Good, aye. Just on your podcast and stuff, a wee congratulations to Dan for Casting Views, reaching 200 episodes. So well done on that, mate. Look forward to another 200 more.
Yep, I really enjoyed listening to the 200th episode celebrations.
Party poppers and all that.
Indeed. Right. So just before we get into an overview of the movie, James, I'm just wondering about your history. Was this the first time you'd watched it, or did you see it before?
I've seen it once before.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it once before. And I remember at the time it being like, I'm not really sure yet, to be honest with you. I was kind of conflicted with it. It's probably the reason why I've only seen it once before that. Before now even, I should say. And watching it again for the podcast, I said I watched it twice. I wasn't really getting into it again. Like I was just kind of finding myself going back to that kind of distracted mode, wasn't really paying attention to it. I wasn't hooked as much. But I try to watch kind of films or shows twice just because I want to write notes on it and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And give a good account of myself while we're doing this review or any review. And when I watched it again, took notes and things from it, I actually started to enjoy it a lot more actually. And then I started to kind of draw comparisons with different maybe films and whatever. So I definitely, if I'd seen it once, it would be a different opinion you'll be getting. But I watched it again, probably paid attention to it, and it's quite layered and it's quite complex in ways as well. And a more serious role, obviously, for Jim Carrey. But
yeah, well, I'll be interested to find out what shaped your initial views and kind of what changed your mind the second time round. So it was my first time, as usual, very on brand. My first time seeing it, but it's actually one that it's like I actually turned on the first 5 minutes or something at one point, and then just that night I wasn't in the mood for it. Maybe similar to you, but it was one I always kind of planned to go back to. Obviously, why I suggested it as one of my options for this week. So I'm glad I was finally able to watch it.
Good.
It's one I'd always heard of. It's quite a well-known film, really, I would say.
Aye.
Okay, so I'll give a wee bit of background on the film. So, the Truman Show, the movie, not the TV show, um, came out in 1998. So we always like to say what age we were. I was 7.
I was 13.
Cool. The duration is 1 hour 43 minutes, so it's quite a nice length for a film. It's not too short, but not too long as well. The IMDb rating was 8.2 out of 10. The Rotten Tomato score was 94%, and the Metacritic score was, I can't read my writing, it was like a 9, maybe wrong. A new one I also saw on the internet was an Amazon rating. So Amazon give it 4.7 out of 5.
Okay. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it just came up when I was, because when you search up like the IMDb score, it came up as well. It was directed by Peter Weir, who, I'll be honest, I don't think I've heard of before, and it was written by Andrew Nichol. The budget was £60 million, and it generated 264 million gross worldwide.
What was the budget, sorry? I missed that.
It's 60 million.
All right, okay. No bad.
And it 264 million from there. Something that we used to do, and we've kind of stopped doing, was the taglines.
Oh, aye.
I was thinking about this the other day, so
What
let
was
me just quickly look that up. What was the tagline? See if I can find it. There's a few different ones. There's All the World's a Stage, The Story of a Lifetime, On the Air Unaware. I like that one.
Yeah.
The World is Watching. We Like to Watch What Happens. So that's the different ones there. Okay, so onto the cast. So, as you mentioned, Jim Carrey played Truman Burbank. This is where it gets a bit confusing because you've got the two versions of the character names, don't you?
That's right.
So you've got Laura Linney as Meryl, and that's Laura Linney, when I looked it up, who was from Ozark. Is that right?
Not seen it.
Do you not watch that now?
No.
Ed Harris played Christoph. Noah Emmerich played Marlon. And Natasha McElhenney played Lauren. I noticed 3. One of them wasn't really a cameo, but there was 3 really well-known actors in the show who weren't huge parts of the film. Did you spot anyone else that you recognised?
I don't think so, mate.
Okay, so the 3 that I've noted down, the first one's Paul Giamatti. He plays the.
No, he's in this. He was in it as well. I seen him.
I watched quite a lot of Billions, which he was like the main character in.
Aye.
And the second one, hence my username, is Yoji Okumoto, which was chosen from Cobra Kai.
Nah.
Have you watched Cobra Kai? No.
Aye, but what season was that in? I don't know.
You know, Chosen. You seen Karate Kid 2?
Aye.
He's like the villain in that one.
Oh, right. No,
Because he's in the, you know how it shows like the audience watching the show.
Aye.
He's in like the background.
Oh, right.
A couple of shots.
I missed that one.
And the last one is Joel McKinnon Miller, who, again, I don't think you've watched it, but he's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
No, I haven't seen that either.
So, yeah, there was just 3 actors that I recognised that I wanted to mention as well. Okay, so just the synopsis of the film. So an insurance salesman begins to suspect that his whole life is actually some sort of reality TV show. So I think that sums it up quite nicely.
Very much, aye.
So I wanted to record this episode by playing the role of Christoph and James playing the role of Truman, but James wasn't up for it.
Nah, I just, why change it? You know what I mean? It could
When-
become weird. I don't know. But aye, just out me, man, in front of millions of people. Do you know what I mean? That's what I do.
millions of people.
Oh, exactly, mate. Millions of people. But I did bring my own prop though about this whole Truman Show. I thought I could, I don't have binoculars as such to as if you're the star. But I've got these.
I'll find
There you
something as
go.
well. A candle holder. So I don't think my idea would really have worked though, because like literally in the first scene it reveals really what's going on, doesn't it, to the audience at least?
Aye.
So they introduce it in kind of documentary style, where there's some interviews with some of the cast. So I think Christoph, Marlon, and who's the other one that gets interviewed? Is it Meryl? No, not Meryl.
Meryl.
Is it?
Meryl, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
It is Meryl.
So just before we get into like, the film itself, though, what did you make of the general premise of the show? General premise.
I mean, it's a good idea. I like the idea of it. Do you know what I mean? Wasn't really sure how it would actually go, how it would actually work, but also we see it. I think the whole idea is good. But I think some of the technologies maybe a wee bit iffy now, but I think the idea's there, and I did like it.
What technology are you referring to then?
It's I can't remember off the top of my head. Like some of the camera work and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, as we could talk through the scenes, I'll come to me, mate. But I don't know. It just seems like as I get going through the whole kind of like the town and all that sort of thing, it just seems like just dated as well. Do you know what I mean? But that's not going to impact my scores or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just taking it for how it is. Aye. But I like the idea, buddy. Do you know what I mean? Like it was different from what we've seen before. I think in a different way for the audience to see.
I think also the fact they revealed that it was a TV show in the very first scene is a bit different than I've seen it in other places, because normally it's you as the audience, you're kind of unraveling the layers of the mystery to lead to that point, but this time it's the lead character that's doing that job.
Yeah, I mean it's quite good in a way, like because we've seen it obviously through the eyes, like it was like a TV show as well. Do you know what I mean? It happening, but it's quite kind of like a mirror image of what's happening every day, but not a TV show sense. But we'll go into that later on as well.
Yep. So you get the introduction, and they essentially reveal that the character Truman, his whole life is on camera, and his town that he lives in is a set, a huge a huge set. Because when I was watching, I was like, if this is just like a sound stage, like this must be absolutely massive. But you also find out that this has been happening, which this was the bit that really threw me. It's like this has been happening literally since he was born, through to where he is now. So like his whole life has been there for the public to see, and he didn't even know about it.
Kind of elaborates on it, isn't it? That he's a kind of unwanted baby. You know what I mean? He was in the TV network. The corporation basically adopted him. So so that's so kissed off in a way was his dad. Do you know what I mean? Because but again, that's another kind of wow as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's a wee shame how it happened. But he's just got no idea for the get go. Do you know what I mean? He's been living the X amount of years on camera 24/7.
I think the scary part of it is it also feels like this could happen, and that this probably has or will happen at some point.
Possibly.
Maybe not to these extremes, but Maybe like a version of it.
I don't know. Like, there's got to be laws against that. Do you know what I mean? You think privacy and all that sort of thing. There's got to be. So I mean, I don't know.
You
I
never
mean,
know.
there's Big Brother, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Like that's surveillance 24/7.
That's
Telling
people that people have signed up to it, isn't it?
aye, exactly. But I mean, that could open a big kind of bums that. Do you know what I mean?
I think it was really interesting. This was totally unintentional on our part, but we recorded this one straight after the Black Mirror Normal People episode,
I know.
and in a lot of ways, I don't know if this was something you were going to touch on, but it feels like it could be like a Black Mirror episode in
Definitely.
a lot of ways.
Aye. It's get Black Mirror vibes to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't something I was going to touch on, but I was thinking that when I was watching it. Do you know what I mean? It had that kind of vibe and whatever.
Well, just while I'm on the topic, so Black Mirror was one thing I was going to mention. The other show, which is kind of the opposite to this, in that there is like a mystery that's unraveled. It gave me, obviously this came first, but I saw this show first. Was WandaVision, which I'm not sure.
I've seen it.
You have seen it, yeah. You probably get what I mean by that. Like the way a lot of the extras or actors are behaving is very similar to what was going on in that show.
Aye, yeah, I get that. Aye.
I'd actually love to do a wee pod on WandaVision at some point if you have seen it.
Yeah, didn't really rate it, man, but I'll definitely. I'll obviously you like it, so it'd be good to have two opinions.
That was a big spoiler. Anyway, so we'll move on. So you've then got the most famous scene, which even before I watched it, I knew about it because it's the like number one GIF when you're searching up Truman Show on X, which is Truman walking out his house, saying hello to his neighbours and saying to them, "Well, if I don't see you, then I hope the rest of your day is good." That's like a abbreviated version of it, but
Aye.
even if you hadn't had the introduction, you would immediately think that this is a bit of a weird way to interact with other humans, but also the way his neighbor like kind of went along with it also showed that something wasn't quite right.
I just feel like, see, like as the camera pans out onto the whole kind of street in the city kind of thing, it just looks very, very fake, doesn't it? It just looks as if it's like something at The Sims.
Yeah.
Like it's obviously been kind of like made like that, and he thinks that that's what life is like. But it is it feels very artificial, doesn't it? I felt that way anyway. Do you know what I mean? It felt really artificial, and maybe that's because I know that already. So it's maybe kind of trained my thoughts for that way. But I just feel like I would have thought that anyway. Just looking at the whole kind of set or the whole kind of street and all that sort of thing, it just looked fake. You know what I mean?
It'd have been interesting to watch this film not knowing what it was about, if that makes sense.
Aye.
How do you think the film would have went if you didn't know that it was a TV show and you're finding out with?
I mean, it'd be quite difficult, I think, for that, because we would get it quite early on, because you've constantly got the camera moving, like following through into the place. So it's not just like a normal camera either. We can see it as if we're like looking through a lens. Do you know what I mean? So it's different. So we would catch on quite early if it was shot not like a normal film. Then there'd maybe be a twist thing to it. But they'd obviously have had to have done a lot of changes to the camera work, which kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. But given the fact that we already know that it's a TV show, if that was taken away, then I think it could have worked, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not saying that they should do this, but this strikes me as a film that will probably get remade at some point with the current climate.
Oh, what film is they getting remade now? Do you know what I mean? It's just not an original idea in their heads nowadays.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a good thing. So he's heading kind of through the town. He goes to the kind of newspaper stall. I can't remember what it said on the newspapers, but it immediately struck you as quite odd. Something to do with dogs or something, wasn't it?
Oh, I didn't read that.
It was magazines, wasn't it? Not newspapers.
It's magazines. Aye.
Yeah, and again, he seems like quite a popular guy. It seems like everybody knows him, which obviously they do. And then he heads to work, and his job, he's a insurance salesman.
Yep.
Which I was listening to like a review somewhere, and it was saying like it's not a great premise for a TV show, like watching like an insurance salesman in his everyday life.
Oh.
So he's in his office, he's doing his work, and then he has a bit of a conversation with a co-worker who. Do you remember what the name of the co-worker was?
No, I'm not sure.
Nah, I don't think he was. I don't think he was too important anyway. But the main point of this scene is you see that he's got the magazine, and you get the first hints of Fiji, which becomes quite a big plot point. And you also see him cutting out parts of the magazine, and we obviously find out later that he's trying to like piece together his memory of Lauren, who also has another name as well. But
Lauren's on the actual show.
Yeah, see, when I was watching Sylvia's the other name.
Oh, Eagle.
Yeah. See, when I was watching like the first bit, obviously it was intentional because it breaks it down later. But the stuff with Fiji, the stuff with the magazine, at that point, I was like, "What is going on here, man? I'm totally lost." I don't know how you felt at that point.
I think that well, I don't think we're meant to know just now. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's obviously
but you don't know that you're not meant to know. So when you're trying to follow it at that point, you're a bit tying yourself up in knots.
We're kind of in the journey with Truman at this point. We're trying to kind of figure out the truth and whatever. Do you know what I mean?
So he obviously has that day at work, and it's I assume it's the next day as the first kind of glitch, which he's done his morning routine, and then the stage light falls kind of through the sky and crashes on the ground. Again, was that right?
I was just going to say, you got to get your Harry Potter reference in quickly.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't actually think of that. I did write down that it said Sirius on it, and the name Sirius apparently means truth and guidance.
Yep.
So it's his kind of first hint that something's not quite right, and that it's going to kind of guide him towards the truth.
Because the obviously the light coming down, it's called Sirius. Basically, like it's shining light on him. Do you know what I mean? Like for him to kind of realise that the truth is about to kind of set him free type thing. By the way, did you know? I don't know if you knew this or no, right? Or know this, but Sirius. Do you know why Sirius got his name? Oh, sorry. In Harry Potter, you should know it.
Is it not to do with like a constellation?
Because the Sirius is like obviously it's a star in the sky. But it's called the Dog Star, and that's why he was called Padfoot.
Okay, I don't think I actually did know that. So there you go. Some new Harry Potter knowledge. So, so obviously that happens. It's in reality the actual stage light falling down, but just like with other things, they have some kind of within the world cover-ups, and they actually say it was something to do with an airplane or something, wasn't it? Which at that point he just kind of accepts that that's the case. But then that's not the only strange thing that happens that day, is it?
Was it you notices that was it the different people, like the same guy with the flowers and stuff like that? Is that what happens?
I think that's a bit later on, but it was more like the radio he's starting to hear some of the kind of stage directions through his radio.
Talking to the extras and stuff like that. Right.
But it's quite good that these things are kind of seeping in. See if we go back to the bit about the stage light falling, and we go back to what was said about One Division earlier. There's actually a bit in One Division where it's like a toy aeroplane that gets through, and it's in color, whereas the rest of the world's in black and white. And that was like the first crack in that illusion as well. So I thought there was a wee bit of symmetry there between those two bits.
Right. No, I can't remember, mate, to be honest with you, One Division.
Yeah. What I quite liked in terms of the hidden cameras was I liked the one where you were seeing him through like the dashboard in his car.
Aye.
I thought that one was quite clever.
I know, it was good.
I'm
just thinking.
So then, what's that, sorry?
I'm just thinking, imagine a camera in my dashboard going to work and all that every day. You see my road rage.
And you're singing. Your famous singing.
Oh, singing's obviously be a lot known to the world now, but it's my road rage probably more than anything.
And then there's a point where he's in town and he all of a sudden thinks he sees his dad, and you learn that there's a kind of flashback to when he went out sailing with his dad, and then there was like a storm, and then he thinks his dad has passed on. But that was kind of all set up, really, wasn't it, as part of the whole wanting him to have that kind of fear of swimming, so he wouldn't want to kind of like leave the town, essentially.
Aye.
Was that just so he didn't get to the stage wall like he does at the end of the film?
Possibly. So I think there's a lot of maybe. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's a plot point, obviously, about his father and stuff like comes on later on in the TV show, in the film.
Yeah.
But it's actually like that scene, like it was crazy how like they all just kind of like moved him on, wasn't it? Like it was just kind of like there's nothing to see here. The dad's on the bus, and he goes into the bus, and it's like and he's getting closer and closer to his dad, but at the same time he's further and further away because there's so many obstacles in his way. Almost as if like it's never meant to get him.
Yeah. And that ramps up as the film goes on, where anytime he's trying to go somewhere, there's always like a car blocking him, or like a construction worker blocking them, and all these different kind of things.
I'll tell you just now, mate. I'm not going to go into detail now, but the film that I was talking about the whole kind of similarities to it is actually Shutter Island.
Okay. Which was the first one you ever came on?
That's right, mate. The first my podcast debut, actually.
Yeah.
And as we talk about scenes, mate, I'll kind of link it into that as well, just so you understand where I'm coming from. Because I know like different films, essentially, you know, one's kind of horror, one's isn't, you know what I mean? But the themes are still there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. And so we talked earlier about Fiji. Truman's got this kind of obsession with going to travel to Fiji. You ever been to Fiji?
No.
I won't do it with my glass because I'll just spill my water on the page. See, people that are just listening to this in audio don't have a clue what's going on.
No, just for the audio people, you can and they can watch this on Spotify as well. But if they're in the car, for the people listening audio, what I have got in front of me right now is a toilet roll, kind of cardboard toilet roll, and I'm using it as a lens to spy on Colin as if he's on the Truman Show. But there you go, right? So I'll use it.
I used a candle holder earlier. So I think it's important so we've kind of set the scene. He's been to work, there's odd stuff going on, he's getting like things are starting to kind of break the facade a wee bit. People are getting in his way. I think it's important that we talk about Meryl, which is his wife. So sorry to keep bringing up One Division, but there are similarities. The way she behaves is very similar to a lot of the characters in that show, just really awkward and a bit off.
Aye.
And you recognise right away that there's no real chemistry between him and his wife, and it feels like they're just like strangers. And you obviously have but he's in the, is it his cellar, basement? Whatever we're going for.
Look in the basement.
And he finds what turns out to be Sylvia's clothing, and then you find out, you kind of see flashbacks of him. I think he's at school and he sees her. He has an immediate crush on her. You see them at a dance, and he's dancing with Meryl, but he keeps looking at Lauren, and obviously Meryl's really quite threatened by her, and they eventually decide to remove her from the show, because I think she was maybe going to tell Truman what was actually going on and basically lead to the show ending. So she kind of gets dismissed, and a big part of the film is him trying to get back to her. And you obviously find out that she starts telling him the truth, essentially, and then someone who's like pretending to be her dad takes her away, and she's shouting that she's going to Fiji. So he's obviously just got this memory of, like, a vague memory of her face from back in the day, but also that location, Fiji, as well.
Aye, I mean, and the whole kind of scene where he's in a sort of kind of, he's in school, but he's in a band or something like that. He's not playing, like, I don't know, trombone or something like that. I don't know.
Mm.
He does keep looking over to Lauren. That's her name in the show. But Sylvia's the name in the real world, if you want to call it that. He's like, Lauren and Fiji represent the truth for him. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's trying to seek. He's trying to seek that kind of escape. And even then, you spoke about Meryl, because after Truman seen his dad, he's like that in his basement. Oh, I seen my dad today, and he goes, "Oh, I heard about that. I spoke to your mum," but then she kind of cuts into a kind of commercial mode, similar to the Black Mirror episode from last week.
There's so many similarities to that episode.
It's like that kind of commercial mode where the camera zooms in as well. Like, it's so unnatural. Do you know what I mean? To a conversation. So that was a point as well I wanted to bring up. But Fiji comes up quite a lot because it's paradise. You know, it's paradise for him, that he has to go and kind of find how to get there by any means necessary. And it's like it's a kind of forbidden place. He's not allowed to get to it, and that kind of makes it even more and more kind of him to try and succeed. He's trying to battle all through these kind of obstacles in the way, and he's fighting to get there. Do you know what I mean? And now the fact that Lauren Sylvia isn't, you know, by all accounts, he has been told that she's going to Fiji. So that's where he's got to go now, because she's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the real kind of catalyst for the plot, really. And I just want to point out, I've not omitted trivia. I was actually thinking it might be better to do the trivia after the review, because things might come up naturally during the discussion.
Yeah.
Instead of just shoehorning it in at the start. So that's us kind of breaking the fourth wall there, but never mind. So Truman's starting to think something's not quite right. We've had the Sirius Black crashing on the ground. We've had the sights of his father. We've had people acting weird, because they talk about a guy who's like sweeping the streets, but he's not. No, he's got like a gripper or something. He's like picking up litter, but he's not actually picking up anything. So you see all these kind of things, but he tries some different things to try and escape the town, doesn't he? He tries all kind of manners of automobile. He goes on the bus. It's a bit of a weird scene, because he goes on the bus, doesn't he? And then there's like a wee kid who just like points at him. He's like, "That's the guy." Child actors.
There's the bit where he's like he comes home and Meryl's in the car and he's like, "Let's go." So he's trying to get away in the car. He goes across the bridge, across the water, doesn't he, as well?
Yeah.
As he's trying to get away, the cars, all of a sudden the road's clear, but all of a sudden there's loads of cars in front of him. He can't get away, can't get past them, can't get around them. There's the bit where he goes on the bus, like you say, and it's like they all know he's on the bus. And it's like, what do we do? He's on the bus, and the bus driver finds a way to break the to for the bus to break down. You know what I mean?
And he becomes he becomes like the boat captain later on, doesn't he?
Aye,
And they're like, it turns out they don't know how to sail a boat because they're actors.
exactly. You spoke about a wee boy though, pointing at Truman, but you get the copper as well, because they try to make up some nonsense about a nuclear explosion, didn't they?
Aye.
It was a nuclear explosion, and he's like, and the police guy called him Truman.
Aye.
It's like, Truman, how do you know my name? and it all starts kind of unraveled as well for there, because he's running away from him and all that sort of thing as well. So it's wee things that add up to make a big thing. It all adds to kind of growing paranoia, didn't it, as well?
I didn't notice it, but I seen it mentioned in a video I watched. See this sign when he's leaving? Is it Seatown? Yeah. Sea Haven. I don't know what I'm thinking of. When he's leaving, apparently it says something at the bottom of the sign like, "You're now leaving Sea Haven. Like, do you think this is a good idea?" or something like that.
All right.
And there's a few hints of that for the film as well. I thought the bit with the fire was a bit, the CGI was a bit weird for the fire bit.
Aye, that's true.
When they were on the way out. So he's obviously tried to go in the bus. He's tried to go in the car as well. But he also goes to the travel agent to try and like find out how he can get to Fiji. But there was bits and there's like a poster on the wall in the travel agent, and it's like basically like your plane could be struck by lightning, and it's just all these things that are trying to stop him from wanting to leave.
Well, that's it. What did you say? It's like there's another flight in 6 months or something like that.
And there's also a flash. It's showing like all the things they've done to kind of keep him in the same place and control him. It was when he was at school, he wanted to be like an explorer, but then his teacher said like something like "there's nothing left to explore" or something like that. So he gave up on that dream pretty quickly.
See as well, can I touch on the elevator, the lift scene? He goes into the building.
Yeah.
And basically, you can see people into a lift and things. And then when he goes into it, everybody's trying to stop him from getting into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every person in that building is trying to distract him. And the security guards kind of try to stop him. But as the lift opens, you can see kind of like a set, a kind of backstage area, don't you? Like there's coffee machines and all that sort of stuff. He's like, what's going on there? Like, what's going to happen? And he's basically booted out. He's kicked out the building.
They're not doing a very good job at disguising it. This is a TV show, are they?
No, but it's exactly. So you wonder if probably not, because like you'd have cracked it by now. But like nothing's ever perfect. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what else has happened in the past in Truman's life that's maybe been a human error? Do you know what I mean? Or like some kind of like the light falling, for example. I mean, that could happen anytime. You know what I mean? So you wonder if anything else happened in the past. It's maybe kind of, oh, wait a minute, something.
Yeah, but you could also like relate it to real life in that you don't have certain realizations or light bulb moments until you get older.
That's true.
Maybe he wasn't quite ready to recognize the signs or mature enough to recognize the signs.
Possibly.
There was another bit. There was another bit in the travel agents. Did you notice it when the travel agent first comes in the room?
I can't remember.
So she's obviously late, first of all, for their meeting, but she's also wearing like her bib, like from like hair and makeup, basically. She's like pulling it off when she comes into the room.
That's right. One actor, many jobs.
Yeah. So one character we haven't touched on, who's just about to become relevant to the plot, was his stage name is Marlon. This was quite a heartbreaking aspect of the film, I thought, because they seem to have, even though we know it's not real, I still had it didn't work out that way, but I still hoped that he was like a genuine friend to Truman, a bit like um, Sylvia was as well. And I was actually quite disappointed when it turns out he was just saying lines that were given to him by Christoph.
Aye, because obviously his best pal went it, and he's
Yeah,
like he's bringing the beers round and all that, and basically he's telling him that he's going to escape to Fiji. He has these kind of like heartfelt moments with him. Basically he was the only person he could kind of rely on because, like you had said before, like him and Sylvia, like no Sylvia, sorry, Meryl were like strangers. Do you know what I mean? It was like he's not going to tell her anything, but he just kind of got that kind of friendship, that good bond that they had, and even when he goes into the shop to try and he basically is trying to convince Marlon that he's been watched and things like that. He's been paranoid, and
yeah,
we know that he's part of it as well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But at the same time, though, I don't know how you felt watching it. For me, I felt maybe like he is on his side. Like even though he is part of all this kind of this TV show, all the act, part of me maybe thinking, oh, maybe he is there in his best interests. But obviously revealed later on that he's just told that anybody else, he's just an actor like everybody else. Do you know what I mean? He's given lines, he's given instructions, he's got to go and follow them. It was a wee shame that.
Yeah, I was
I'd
I was
enjoyed.
hoping he was genuine, but obviously it didn't turn out that way. But at least he had Sylvia on his side, at least. So things start to ramp up, and Meryl starts to freak out a wee bit and breaks character, and then kind of her and Truman are having a bit of an argument, bordering on a bit of a fight. And then things are just kind of starting to unravel from there. And then Marlon then confronts Truman, and this is where you find out that Marlon's not actually on Truman's side because he's actually getting fed the lines to say by Christoph. And we've not actually talked about Christoph too much. He'll obviously come up more towards the end of the film, but he's quite a complex dude as well because he's obviously doing something really unethical and illegal, but he seems to really quite believe in what he's doing, and he seems to think he seems to be quite fond of Truman, really.
Well, General Hummel is my screen name, and Ed Harris plays General Hummel in the Rock, so that was the kind of character that I based my screen name on there. But you're right, Christoph is a kind of complex character. Do you know what I mean? Like I said at the start, that my interpretation was that even though that Truman was like a unwanted baby, he basically was adopted by the corporation. So Christoph is kind of like his father. Do you know what I mean? And in a way, that Christoph putting Truman in this situation that he's in is only wanting the best for him. Like he's protecting him. He's giving him. Truman will have no idea what's happening out in the real world. He's part of this kind of unethical, kind of TV show, as you were saying. But in a way, I feel like he's protecting him for the outside world, because like in this TV show, in this sea haven, it's like it's safe for him, like a safe haven, isn't it? It's safe for him. Everybody knows him. He's not going to be in any bother, no trouble, and it's kind of that's my interpretation of it as well. Can I jump ahead a wee bit here? But at the end, where he was talking to him, like as if he was God as well, like that kind of like that's that voice coming from above. It's almost like he's looking at him on his monitor, like kind of like stroking the screen type thing. Like I watched you when you were born, when you took your first walk. It's like something my father would say. Do you know what I mean? And I think obviously it's unethical. Like, you don't get it, man. Like, it's weird, but in his own kind of mind, he was doing the right thing for him. Do you know what I mean? Keep him safe. I don't know, man. That's just my interpretation of it all. Do you know what I mean? But it's complex. Do you know what I mean? There'll be argument to say he was right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know Like, I think he was wrong
Yeah.
personally because of the wing, but I can, like, for his perspective to look after him, like, what's wrong with that? Do you know what I mean? What the best
Yeah,
for him?
as an unwanted baby, then he may have got adopted by a really loving family, but he also could have bounced around orphanages. Why did that not sound right?
Orphan.
Orphanages.
Orphan. I don't know.
It sounded weird. It sounded weird when it came out anyway. Yeah, I see what you mean. He had a safe life, but he also was being highly manipulated and lied to from birth. So
Of course.
there's all those different sides to it.
And Christoph revealed as well that he wanted to be he wanted to have like a baby conceived on TV, didn't he, as well? That was his kind of goal. He says that, like, that was the kind of idea behind it all, because he was talking about moving, like, him and Sylvia were going to break up and all that. He had a plan hatched and all that sort of stuff, and he was planning on getting Truman another kind of love interest, and then conceive a baby on screen. That's what he said. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like,
That's just
well,
taking it to next levels, isn't it?
well, aye. So maybe he was just selfish as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but it's that way. Talk about Christoph again. They interviewed him, and it's like, this guy is never interviewed. I mean, he's like somebody you can never get a hold of. And the fact that we've got a hold of him when we've interviewed him, he's taking questions from, like, the audience and stuff like that, as if, like, yeah, he's untouchable. I mean, nobody can touch him. So who cares? That's kind of thing. I kind of thought of it anyway.
Yeah, a big part of the film towards the latter half is they're worrying about the ratings, because we do see loads of scenes where you see, like, kind of two older ladies, you see, like, staff and punters at a bar,
Aye.
and something we haven't actually touched on yet. This is a good opportunity to touch on it, is the fact that the show's free to watch, but they make their money through the product placement, which I think qualifies this as a business film, which means I could show it in class. Not lying, but the beer that the boys are drinking is actually served in the pub that you see in the various scenes as well.
Aye, right, okay.
And there's lots of things like the clothes. I think the clothes that the two older women are wearing are like the same clothes that either Meryl or Lauren were wearing. Where was I getting to with this? There's a reason why I started talking about product placement.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
I just went on for a tangent and got lost.
I do that all the time.
Yeah,
mate.
we're talking about the ratings. We're talking about the ratings with the show.
Aye.
So they're obviously wanting to make sure they're putting out the best product. So they decide to do the real kind of cliched part where they have the reunion with Truman and his dad, and then, like, the crowd are absolutely loving it. But Truman still doesn't trust the people in the town, even at that stage as well. And this is where he disappears. He's tried the roads, hasn't he? But he's going to try his luck on the water instead.
Aye. I mean, this kind of, like, obviously disappears, but it's quite clever what he does, because he's in the bee's basement and he kind of sets up a kind of Ferris Bueller moment. Do you know what I mean? Where he's got like a kind of stuffed kind of, was it a mannequin, like a block doll or something like that? He's got in his bed and he's done a Shawshank Redemption. And he's dug a hole, a tunnel, and you seen Shawshank? Haven't you?
Can we just pause for a second there?
Aye.
I've actually seen both of those films.
Right, good.
You should snippet that bit for a short.
Aye, good. I was thinking, wait a minute, you've not seen Shawshank Redemption. I may have spelled it for you here, but no. So he's done that, and he's going to go in the water. But it's quite clever what he's done, because that's why you've got Marlon coming in. He's like get in and try. He's seen the bed. He's seen the he's going through. You can see like through the cameras and stuff like that. And there's obviously somebody's kind of dropped the ball somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, how come like he's got away from all these cameras?
Yeah.
So good. He tries obviously the kind of the open sea to try and escape. Even though he's got a fear of of water and things like that, and he's quite happy to overcome that to try and get away from this kind of surveillance type behaviour. I'm just going to touch on why I think just now, mate. Why I think this is quite similar to Shutter Island, right? Now, first thing is the kind of if you remember Shutter Island, right? We've got Leonardo DiCaprio's character Terry Daniels. He's basically role playing inside a mental institute.
Yeah.
And everybody around him are basically actors as well, because they're playing on this to try and get him better in this situation. Whereas we take the Truman Show, even though it's no role playing as such, they're all actors and they're all trying to basically kind of appease, to make sure that he gets his kind of maybe his own way type of thing. I spoke about the light falling from the sky, like representing truth.
Yeah.
The lighthouse in Shutter Island is that exactly the same moment as well, because the lighthouse in that is when he discovers that he is a patient inside the hospital. We've got the idea of the water as well, because Shutter Island's surrounded by water, so it makes there's no escape.
And rats.
And rats as well. Whereas the Truman Show is exactly that, isn't it? Because he's surrounded by water, and it's like there's no escape to it. What else is I think? Obviously, the whole kind of identity kind of thing. So my dog, good night, pal. Sorry. Kind of reality and illusion. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is real and what's no? That was exactly the same in Shutter Island as well. You've got the kind of the Big Brother kind of manipulation. So it was loads of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I watched it. I'm going, like, I'm writing this down, all my notes down. I'm going, like, there's so many things here that's quite similar to Shutter Island, even though they're two different things. And the two different films, that the themes are quite similar. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So that's kind of in obviously the escaping. So in Shutter Island, Teddy wants to escape, as does Truman want to escape as well. And how we do that is this different. And I'll come on to the last lines as well as we get to that, because that's quite similar to.
Anyway, this is why we signed you after your trial.
I thought I went for a fee, mate. No, I don't know. I thought I went for
a loan with an obligation to buy.
Fair dues.
No, I wasn't. That's some really interesting points. I wasn't thinking about Shutter Island when I watched it, but I definitely see where you're coming from. It's actually really made me want to rewatch Shutter Island, because I really enjoyed that film. But you, the listeners, could also just check out our review instead. Featuring the one and only James.
Yep.
So back to the Truman Show. So he's out in the boat, and then Christoph is starting to play God and is starting to create a storm. Which this is when it takes a bit of a dark turn, because he's shows a lot of kind of caring towards Truman, then suddenly he just wants to take him out of the game, which shows he's a wee bit deranged as well.
Bizarre. It was bizarre, because I spoke about how treat him like a son. So what did that mean? Like, did they just want to take him out so he didn't get exposed? Everybody knows. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really get that bit. Do you know what I mean? Why just take him out? Tried his best, creating storms and like tidal waves and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Just to try and get him not to kind of get to that end point of the truth.
Do you think he intended to kill him, or do you think he just wanted to deter him?
I don't think he wanted to kill him, mate, because at the end of the day, I think killing him killed the show, didn't it? Let's be honest about it. I think he wanted to try and deter him and try and make him think that, right, okay, I've tried my best here, and it doesn't matter how hard I try, I'm never going to get to the end, and maybe try and coax him back into the fact that he belongs here, and not to try and seek that kind of that truth that he's desperately hoping for. And I don't know, possibly I don't think he tried to kill him anyway. I mean, I think killing would kill the show, and he's all about the show, isn't he?
I know you weren't a big fan of this movie, which we also reviewed, was the Hunger Games. But see this part with the violent storm, it kind of reminded me a wee bit of the game makers and how they could manipulate the weather inside the different zones. And Paul Giamatti that we mentioned earlier, he basically is a game maker within this show, but he basically defies orders from Christoph because he doesn't want to harm Truman.
No, you're right, mate. I didn't think to the Hunger Games when I seen this either. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, I'm trying to forget the Hunger Games. Just joking. I just, aye, be able to manipulate anything or anyone in the show is essentially a kind of game maker. Interestingly, like I talk about games there. It's funny that because I just kind of thought, see the idea of that kind of that town, Sea Haven. If you looked out and for that and looked around everybody else, they're all actors, they're all extras. They're kind of acting like NPCs, aren't they?
Yeah.
So someone you don't even interact with, but yet they do the same thing over and over again.
The guy with the litter picker.
There you go. So he does the exact same thing every day, and they don't obviously talk to him. Do you know what I mean? So there's actually NPCs in this game, this TV show.
But it was such a pop. Like, although it doesn't actually in reality sound that exciting, if you really thought about it, but when you see the bar staff reacting, the elderly people reacting, the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine reacting, like people absolutely love this show, and they describe it as like a way of life.
So my dog's thirsty and he's looking for stuff for his bowl. No, they do. It's 24/7 on the TV. It's I don't know. Like
But I suppose the likes of Love Island are extremely popular and shows of that ilk.
I know. Well, it is a reality TV show, the Truman Show. Do you know what I mean? And people love the things. I for one don't really bother with it. But I take it you're a Love Island fan.
Watched a couple of seasons.
Of course you have.
It was just to spend a bit of time with the wife.
What was I saying? Aye, so people are bought into this. Do you know what I mean? They're bought into the whole kind of the Truman Show, because how long have they watched it for? He's been in that show for so many years. They've basically grew up with him.
30 years probably.
Sorry?
What age would Jim Carrey have been? Probably his 30s.
Probably.
Mid-30s.
I would say that. So they've basically grown up with Truman, do you know what I mean, since he's a baby. And watched him grow and kind of into the person he is, I suppose. So in a way, I found it quite endearing that, the end of it, because even though they'd watched it for so long, that they were happy for him. Do you know what I mean? They were so happy for him because he got out. I know I've jumped the gun here a wee bit, but it's just because they had a connection to him. Do you know what I mean? You just spoke about how gripped they were to the actual show. They weren't connected to the show as such; they were connected to him, and that's what they kind of wanted.
It's kind of like the relationships that we have with TV shows. Like, we're both massive Lost fans.
Yeah.
Whereas Lost gets a lot of criticism, but we were in it for the characters, weren't we? And I think we both agree that the ending of Lost is a masterpiece, and those who don't understand it, those who don't like it don't understand it. That classic line. But I think a case of like the creators have lost. I don't think they would have, but they could have potentially wanted to keep it going and keep it going and keep it going, keep it going. Is the same with other shows as well. And they might think that the audience will be disappointed if it ends, but if a show's ended right, then the customer's still happy.
Aye.
Like
I mean,
that's a big grandstand ending, isn't it? When he runs away with Sylvia.
aye, well, that's the idea about it. That's what it hints towards. But before that, we have a wee kind of a wee moment between Christoph, don't we, and Truman, because he gets to the edge. We get finally he's past the storm. He gets to the edge and he hits the wall. Basically, him reaching the end of the world type thing, and then what lies there, and you can see the stairs. He's about to go through the door, and he talks to Christoph, and basically Christoph telling him, what he done, and he's like, "You're the star of the show" and stuff like that. And again, try to kind of coax him back into it. Like he says something like that. There's something about the truth out there is the same as in here type thing. Kind of the exact quote he said.
I don't think this is the exact one. I don't think this is the one you're referring to, but I really like the line about we accept the reality of the world in which we are presented. It's as simple as that. And that really struck a chord with me because we do just accept the world the way it is. Like, I know we'll sometimes question some things, like, what does that mean? Or is that true? But so much of society is what we were born into and what is normal within our society that we just kind of accept it for what it is.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. I've got the quote. The quote's "You belong here with me. There's no more truth out there." That's what he says.
I feel like Christoph makes such a compelling, heartfelt argument that it's actually quite a surprise that Truman just palms him off and moves on.
Do you think so?
Well, just when he was talking about things like you were real, that's what made you so good to watch, and just a lot of the things he was saying. Oh, there was a good line, by the way, when Christoph was trying to like hurt him. It was something about him dying on the show, and it says he was born in front of a live audience. So it's like he was born in front of a live audience, he could die in front of a live audience.
Aye, that's right.
So I think Christoph maybe was trying to take him out for real.
Maybe.
Getting desperate.
Possibly. I just don't know. I'm not sure. He was desperate. Absolutely was.
Yeah.
I did like the bit when he's on the boat. He's like, "Is that the best you can do?" And he's like basically phoning it. You know what I mean? Listen. Aye, the kind of the bit Christoph says as well. It's like, "I am the creator of a television show that gives hope and joy and inspiration to millions," but that's not true in him because it's not giving him hope and joy or inspiration. Do you know what I mean? It's like the total opposite. And in a way, he should be given that hope and joy as basically he adopted him, and he's not giving him that.
I don't think it's actually mentioned in the film, and if this is really obvious, then just you can tell me off. But the name Truman obviously sounds a lot like True Man, and this film is a lot about finding out the truth.
Aye.
Yep. Obviously, it wasn't intentional, was it? Or was intentional?
Yeah, it was intentional, I think. Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not actually mentioned in the film, though. I don't think it's just
it's no
one of those things. So he's Truman's final say is to re-say the famous quote of "Good morning," or in case I don't see you, "Good afternoon," "Good evening," and "Good night." I might actually start saying that to people just generally.
It's a good line.
See if they get the reference. And then he runs away, and then I keep getting the names wrong. Sylvia's waiting for him, and then to all we know, they're run off and be happily ever after.
Yeah, for all we know, it appears that way.
An ambiguous ending for you.
Well, I and
Kind of.
no, kind of. I mean, this is where I kind of again. I'm sorry if we're on about it, man, but it's like I kind of like it to the Shutter Island one, where like also we've got this kind of quote here for him, that kind of represents the start again, doesn't it? That's how we kind of first heard him. He said his opening line, and then we kind of heard that opening line is his last line. So it was good that way.
Yeah.
But like he's saying goodbye basically, and we don't really know what he's walking into. Neither does he. Do you know what I mean? Like we've only encountered the real world in different settings. We've only seen it in a bar or a couch in somebody's living room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't know what lies out there, and how do we know where Sylvia is? Like I would like to have seen that aspect. Didn't see it, right? We didn't see that reunion, and I guess that's fine. And biggest to a point where we can just leave up to the imagination that it was all a happy ending. But the last line in Shutter Island, it's like it was kind of similar in a way that the fact that he's going to the unknown, because the line in the Shutter Island is like, which would be worse, to live as a monster or to die as a good man? And that's basically him breaking the illusion, and he's basically going to die, and we don't really know. Like for him, he doesn't know what death feels like. It's unknown, so it's different to what he's used to. So in a way, that's quite similar. It was the last line kind of similarities, I thought.
Yeah, I
To
recall.
kind of round the kind of Shutter Island comparisons.
Yeah. Well, you talked plenty about Shutter Island, I talked plenty about One Division, so
Yeah, there you go.
with a wee bit of
Black Mirror in there as well, aye.
wee bit of Black Mirror thrown in as well. So, well, that concludes the review. Then I'm quite glad. You ever look back on the ones we put into the polls? I'm actually really glad this is the one that came back, because I think it gave a lot of fruit for discussion.
Aye, it definitely did, man. Not gonna lie though, I did want a Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I've still not seen either of those two films, although I do own Cuckoo Nest on the DVD.
You said that, aye.
I could always watch it, I suppose, anyway.
Well, we've got enough to watch. Well, we could set a challenge. We need to get a challenge sorted.
Oh, yeah, we need to get a challenge sorted. So I just wondered if there was any more. It's obviously up to you when you're doing your hosting, but I thought at the end we could just talk about any quotes or trivia. Was there any other quotes that stood out to you in the film that were mentioned?
Can't remember now. I don't know. There's one that made me laugh though. I can't remember the top of the head now. I've got some trivia though. It may come to me. So it says Jim Carrey took a pay cut for this film.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Aye, so he took a pay cut from 20 million to 12 million, so he can work on a more kind of dramatic role, which is obviously different because we've obviously, I've seen him obviously in Ace Ventura and The Mask and Dumb and Dumber and like the Cable Guy and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Even though the Cable Guy is a wee bit more kind of serious itself. But
Sonic trilogy.
well, I've seen Sonic Hedgehog, so
I've had to.
Had to.
I'm not that into it, to be honest.
Nah. It was inspired by an episode of The Twilight Zone, which kind of makes sense, didn't it, man? Because the kind of the Black Mirror, Twilight Zone things.
Yeah.
You ever watched Twilight Zone?
No, but I would like to. Wait, is it not on Disney Plus?
I don't know, mate.
Because I've not actually got a long form show on the go at the moment. The last one was Shrinking, that small show. So I am looking for my next big show to watch.
Oh, it used to be on like TV late at night.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is on Disney Plus.
Well, it was an episode of the Twilight Zone. It's called Special Service, where a man discovers his life as a TV show. So it obviously took inspiration from that.
Yeah. Maybe worth checking out.
A few things here. Ed Harris, who played Christoph, only had a few days to prepare because the initial person to play Christoph is Dennis Hopper, which would be interesting. But Dennis Hopper was fired because I don't know why we say he was fired. No, he was fired. So, for whatever happened there, he was sacked. Ed Harris joined in. It says there were 1,000 plus hidden cameras to monitor Truman. And then many shots mimic the fish-eye lenses of peephole views, which I was talking about. Peephole views, reinforcing the surveillance. So that was good. Robin Williams was considered to play Truman.
I was just about to say that to you there when you were talking about Harris.
Yeah. A few Easter eggs I found as well. The map at Truman's work. When he tries to book a trip to Fiji, the travel agent fumbles with a map clearly marked with "Do not travel" and other discouraging slogans. What else? Nah, that's all I found.
The ring was a camera, wasn't it?
Aye.
Yeah, so I've got a few bits of trivia here, so thankfully we didn't overlap on them.
Good.
So Jim Carrey had the power to demand rewrites
Okay.
on the film, and initially him and the director Weir had a difficult relationship, but I think it strengthened as the filming went on. I thought this one was really interesting. There's psychologists refer to Truman syndrome, where people in the real world have thought that their life was a TV show, and there was a story I read about it where somebody went up to the top of the Eiffel Tower and was getting ready to jump off it because they thought that was the only way they were able to get out of the show, like the kind of exit point.
Jeez, oh.
This film is, you like this bit, it was is studied in some media ethics courses.
Good.
This was quite funny actually. The casting crew were forbidden from quoting Jim Carrey's films to him during filming. Somebody stop me.
PARTY, because I gotta.
And the cast names and the street names were named after like real world actors.
Oh, cool, man. Cool.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention. It wasn't related to the trivia, but it was just thinking of the actor. One of my favourite Jim Carrey movies is Bruce Almighty.
That's good, that.
And obviously he has a lot of conversations with Morgan Freeman, who's the god in that film, and that kind of reminded me of the bits with Christoph a bit as well.
All right. That's all right.
So I was thinking about them. Yeah, I quite like doing the trivia at the end because it allows for things to just be kind of embedded throughout as well.
Yeah. That's fair, isn't it?
Right, so this is the portion of the podcast where we do our seismic stars. So we give the movie a rating out of 10. We're not comparing it to any other films. We're just giving this specific film our own personal ratings out of 10.
Right, Kev, the Seismic Cinema first.
It's up to you, I don't mind.
What do we usually do? Isn't it Seismic Sports first? And
I thought it was stars first and then supporters after.
We'll just start first then. Let's do it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. What would you give it out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said at the start, man, I thought it was difficult to get into it first. I just thought probably wasn't ready to watch it because of probably how layered and how deep it was. But the moment I started to get my podcast head on, do you know what I mean? I thought, I'm quite enjoying this. Kind of pausing at points as well, do you know what I mean? So So I think if I didn't what first viewing, not gonna lie, probably about 6 out of 10. But after obviously watching it again and discussing it with you in great detail, I'm gonna give it 7.5. Pushed it maybe towards an 8, but 7.5 just now, mate.
I didn't really know what to expect. I knew the general premise of the movie, and I liked the sound of it. And I think the first kind of 10-15 minutes, it's all a bit confusing, but it quickly catches you up and you realise what's going on. That's really distracting. Do you know what that reminds me of? It's like the Looney Tunes. That's all, folks.
Aye.
Sorry, James had distracted me with toilet roll holders. I enjoyed it. It was interesting, just the real kind of meta side of it, how you're hearing from the creator, you're seeing the audience, the cast who are actually a cast are getting interviewed off screen, and I like seeing all the kind of unraveling. It's my kind of film. I like these kind of films that are quite quirky and quite a bit different than other ones that are out there. So what would I give it? Definitely higher than a 6. I'd be quite confident going for, like, it's not like I really enjoyed it, but it's not like an absolute wow of a film, if that makes sense. So I'd probably give it an 8. I'd probably give it an 8.
Right, fair dues, mate.
Round about your kind of ballpark, I would say. And James, you've got some messages from some of the Seismic supporters because my phone's on charge.
Yeah, I've got some messages from the Seismic supporters. So with Chatsunami, he wrote, I love this film and genuinely think it says a lot that with the rise of streaming, the idea wouldn't have the same impact as it did back then. We've become so used to sharing our lives with the internet that some wouldn't even think twice about being the next Truman, which I kind of alluded to as well. Like everybody posts stuff on social media nowadays. Do you know what I mean? We kind of like there's some people who just post every single day. Do you know what I mean? Like what they're doing and what they're having for dinner, what they're going to the toilet and things. It's you just become like a kind of walking kind of news, don't you? Like
What did you have for dinner?
I had a burger actually.
Oh, burgers as well.
Did you? So that was Chatsunami. Thank you for that. We've got Josh. He says some of the tech concepts haven't aged well, but the film and the exploration of reality TV is still brilliant and relevant. The fact that Jim Carrey since 2010 has mostly done shite legacy sequels and shite existing IP films like Sonic is a tragedy. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Sonic and I don't plan on seeing it. But that was Josh's views. So thank you, Josh.
It's not great, to be fair. I don't think it's quite I don't think we're the target demographic.
Aye. Jim Carrey. No, not Jim Carrey. He's not said anything. He's not said that. I wish he did.
That result.
Watch it if you can. Says Jim Carrey deserved an Oscar nomination at minimum. It's in my top 5 movies. It's Dave. If you watch if you can. So I wouldn't say it's my top 5 movies, but aye, it's good. But each to their own opinion. But Stu World Order, he says Carey's best movie. It's so layered. It's true. It is really layered. I don't know if it's his best film, but like
depends what you're looking for. Like for me, Bruce Almighty is just so much fun.
Nah, it's his best film, mate. Jesus Christ.
But the Truman Show, it's probably the only time I've seen him be really serious, like more serious.
I think the Truman Show is better than Bruce Almighty.
Totally different films.
Aye, but it's still better, isn't it?
I've got a lot of nostalgia for Bruce Almighty though, just from school. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Craig from What's the Script? Hello, Craig. I liked it in its day. Great concept and well executed, but think it's aged badly. I don't see it as the perfect movie. A lot of people do, but that's just my personal preference. And Chris from What's the Script has said, I'm not a fan of it. I find it boring. I've probably watched it twice, so it's not really a reliable opinion. The idea of it is good though, with very reflective of society, especially now, given everybody's life is online to be looked at, which is true as well. So thank you for Craig and Chris from What's the Script for your comments, and thank you for everybody else for getting back to us. I was a bit more organised this week in putting out the socials.
It's because we're on holiday. This is our full-time job for the next 5 weeks.
So keep them coming. We do obviously appreciate the comments and things, and we'd appreciate feedback as well on the podcast if possible.
And also thanks just to the people who like and share and retweet the posts as well.
Indeed.
Right, well, we'll start drawing to a close. So just a reminder where you can find us. You can find us mainly on X, but also on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. You can watch us and listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and a range of other platforms. That's Alien getting some stuff out the freezer right now, in case you hear some disturbances.
What did you find in the freezer?
Was that?
What did you find in the freezer?
Like,
did you find
off-brand cornettos?
I thought you found bits of script.
Oh, we haven't done that in a while, have we?
No.
Something I wanted to mention at the start, we've had a wee bit of a renaissance in terms of subscribers since we started doing our wee YouTube shorts, so you should check them out if you've not watched them. We're actually up to 185 subscribers, so 200 is within the site. So if you've been checking out this review, we would really appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button and help us on our journey to 200, and then we're a fifth of the way towards ad revenue.
Aye, we'll get that one day, mate.
Also, I did note that looking at the YouTube stats, 78.2% of recent viewers have not subscribed. So if you fall into that demographic, then sort that out.
Yeah, it's just a click of a button, man. Doesn't cost you anything.
That's right. And just a reminder to give the Podpack Collective a follow and check out some of these guys. As I mentioned, Howdy Beans, Casting Views, I've been checking out recently. What's the Script? Not part of the collective, but part of our podcast friendship group as well. So, right. So that's us kind of drawn to a close. James, I wasn't sure. Obviously, we're doing the Black Mirror Season 2, Episode 2 next week. Season 7, Episode 2 next week. I don't know if you'd brought movies to the table this week or if you're saving that for next week.
I'll save it for next week, buddy. I'm going to think long and hard about this one.
Right. No worries.
Okay. Next week, we're doing Bet Noir, Episode 2 of Season 7.
Definitely. Also, PK Paul's done a wee 3-minute review of was it how many days later was it?
28 years later.
28 years later? I don't know.
I don't think he liked it anyway. 28 days, weeks.
28 days later.
8 years later, didn't it?
Right. Anyway, so this was Seismic Cinema. I'm Colin. I've usually not seen it, but by the end of the podcast, I usually have seen it. Paul probably didn't know it was a TV show and found that out at the end.
And I'm James. I probably and should actually write an essay on this.
I want that. Oh, before we go, I shivered there. Don't know why. Challenge.
Oh, aye, challenge.
Particular challenge for the week. What was the one? Will I try and track down the Twilight Show? Maybe watch at least one episode of that.
Aye, you go and get a Twilight Zone episode for sure. What will I watch?
Okay, I'm
Is
going to
anything
give you
similar to Black Mirror?
What's that?
Anything similar to Black Mirror?
Inside Number 9. I mentioned it before.
Oh, you said that before, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was that one?
It's on BBC iPlayer.
Right, okay. Inside Number 9.
It's really good. Every episode's it's like the same two main cast members, but every episode's like a different story. They're only about 30 minutes long, but they've all got like a big twist. Every episode is like a big twist towards the end.
Who's in it?
It's that guy Richard Shearsmith. If you know him.
Oh,
he's
it's the guy from the League of Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith. They're the writers and the main actors on it.
Cool.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
Just the first one, first episode.
Or do you want me to just pick an episode I really like?
You can do that if you want
Or-
as well, mate. There's no storyline. It's just like an anthology. Then, is
Actually,
it?
just watch the first one, and then if you like it, you could keep watching them.
Right. Okay.
We'll go with that. So, yeah. So, just to end, I just want to say again, good morning. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.